Not so long ago, in the village of Amucha, the village had never been this lively. Everyone was talking about Chike, the wealthy son of the land, who had returned from Lagos for Christmas. His flashy cars, fine clothes, and the way he gave money to the children in the village square made him the talk of the town. Women whispered about his charm. Men admired his success. Even elders nodded in approval, saying, Chike has done well for himself. Ada, on the other hand, stayed out of the commotion. She was busy with her daily chores, fetching water from the stream, helping her mother prepare food, and watching over her younger siblings. Life was hard, but Ada's cheerful spirit and humility stood out. Everyone knew her as the beautiful, hard-working girl who never complained, even when things were tough. One morning, as Ada carried her clay pot of water on her head, she heard the sound of a car horn behind her. Turning, she saw Chike stepping out of a shiny black jeep. He smiled at her, his white teeth flashing in the sun. "Hello, beautiful," he called, walking closer. Ada adjusted her wrapper nervously. "Good morning, sir." "Don't call me sir. My name is Chike," he said, his voice smooth. "You are Ada, right? The whole village knows you. You are even more beautiful than they said." Ada lowered her eyes, unsure of what to say. She wasn't used to such attention, especially from someone like him. "You're coming from the stream, right? Let me help you," Chike said, reaching for the clay pot on her head. No, I'm fine," Ada protested, stepping back. "I can carry it." Chike laughed. "Ah, you are strong, oh. Okay, no problem, but let me walk you home." Ada hesitated but nodded. As they walked, Chike asked about her family and her life in the village. He listened intently, nodding and smiling as she spoke. When they reached her compound, he handed her a small envelope. "What's this?" Ada asked, confused. "Just a little something for your family. Use it to buy food for Christmas," Chike said, winking. Without waiting for her to argue, he turned and walked back to his car. The next day, Chike sent one of his boys to call Ada to his new mansion. The house was the largest in the village, with a tall gate and walls painted bright white. When Ada arrived, Chike was sitting in the garden, sipping a drink. "Ada, you are here," he said, smiling. "I need someone to help me clean the house and cook. The workers I hired are lazy. Will you help me? I'll pay you well." Ada hesitated. "I don't know, sir. Chike, I still have to help my mother at home." "Don't worry, I'll talk to your mother," Chike said, waving his hand dismissively. "This is a good opportunity for you. I promise you won't regret it." True to his word, Chike convinced Ada's mother, who saw it as a blessing. "My daughter, God has answered our prayers. Go and work for him," her mother said, her face lighting up with hope. Ada started working at Chike's house the next day. Chike went out of his way to make her feel special. He complimented her cooking, saying, "Ada, this soup is sweeter than any I've eaten in Lagos." He bought her gifts, a new scarf, a pair of sandals, and made her laugh with his stories about life in the city. One evening, as they sat outside under the stars, Chike leaned closer to her. "Ada, do you know you are different from other girls?" he said softly. Ada looked at him, her heart pounding. What do you mean? I mean you are kind, humble and hardworking. I've met many women in Lagos, but none of them compare to you, Chike said, holding her gaze. I've been thinking about settling down, and I want someone like you by my side. Ada's face burned with embarrassment and joy. You are just saying that. No, Ada, I mean it. I want to marry you, Chike said, taking her hand. I'll take you to Lagos. I will start a new life together. Tears filled Ada's eyes. She had never imagined someone like Chike would see her as anything more than a village girl. That night, under the moonlight, Chike held her close and whispered promises of love and a bright future. Ada believed every word, not knowing the heartbreak that awaited her. The suspense builds as the audience wonders what Chike's true intentions are and how Ada's life will change. After Christmas, Chike packed his bags and prepared to leave the village. The night before he left, he met Ada by the mango tree where they often talked. Ada, my love, Chike said, holding her hands. I have to return to Lagos tomorrow, but don't worry, I will send for you soon. Just give me some time to settle things. Ada looked at him, her heart heavy. Are you sure, Chike? You won't forget me, right? Chike smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Forget you? Never. You are the woman I want to spend my life with. Just trust me. He handed her a small piece of paper. Here's my phone number. Call me anytime. Ada nodded, feeling reassured. Thank you, Chike. I'll wait for you. With one last hug, Chike left. Ada watched as his car disappeared down the dusty road, carrying her dreams with it. Weeks turned into months, and Ada began to feel different. She felt tired all the time and started throwing up every morning. One day, her mother noticed. Ada, what is wrong with you? You've been sick for weeks now. Her mother asked, concern etched on her face. Ada hesitated, then burst into tears. Mama, I think I'm pregnant. Her mother's eyes widened. Pregnant? By who? Chike, Ada whispered. Her mother froze, then screamed, Chike? The rich man from Lagos? What have you done, Ada? Do you want to bring shame to this family? Ada tried to explain. Mama, he promised to marry me. He gave me his number. I'll call him. She dialed the number, but a robotic voice said, the number you're trying to reach is not available. Ada tried again and again, but it was always the same. Desperate, she sent messages to his family members, but they ignored her. Finally, she borrowed money from a kind neighbor and traveled to Lagos, determined to find him. When she arrived at Chike's mansion, the security guards stopped her at the gates. I'm here to see Chike, Ada said, clutching her bag. The guards exchanged looks. Then one said, Madam, we don't know any Chike. Go back where you came from. Ada pleaded, please, I'm carrying his child. I just need to talk to him. Leave here now before we call the police. The guard backed. Heartbroken and out of money, Ada returned to the village. When Ada returned, news of her pregnancy had already spread. Everywhere she went, people whispered and pointed. See her. One woman said loudly, Chike don't use her and dump her. A shower. Another man added, she thought she could trap a rich man. Gold digger. Ada tried to ignore them, but the words cut deep. When she got home, her parents were waiting for her. Her father's face was like stone. Ada, is it true? Are you carrying Chike's child? Ada nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, Papa, but he promised. Stop, her father shouted. You've disgraced this family. We don't want to see you here anymore. Pack your things and leave. Mama, please, Ada begged, turning to her mother. Her mother looked away. You brought shame to us, Ada. You should go. With nowhere to turn, Ada left the house carrying only a small bag of clothes. She spent the night crying under the old mango tree. A week later, 2 police officers arrived in the village. They found Ada sitting at the market trying to sell some vegetables. Are you Ada? One of them asked. Yes, she replied, confused. You are under arrest, the officer said, grabbing her arm. For what? Ada cried, struggling. You've been accused of blackmailing Mr. Chike, the officer said. The entire market stared as Ada was dragged away. So it's true, someone whispered. She wanted to trap him with pregnancy. Ada spent a week in a crowded jail cell, crying every night. When she was finally released, she returned to the village broken. She had no home, no family, and no hope. Each night, she sat under the mango tree, crying herself to sleep. The only thing keeping her alive was the tiny life growing inside her. But even that felt like a curse in a world that has turned its back on her. Ada's life was hard, but she refused to give up. Early every morning, she would sweep the market square while traders were still setting up their stalls. When that was done, she went to houses washing clothes for people who could afford to pay her a little. In the evenings, she sat by the roadside selling roasted maize to travelers. Her hands were rough from hard work, and her feet ached from walking all day. But Ada did not complain. Every kobo she earned, she saved carefully, buying small things she would need for her baby. One day, Mama Ifeoma, a widow who sold vegetables in the market, approached her. Ada, she said, her voice gentle, I see how hard you work every day. You are a strong girl. Don't let anyone bring you down. Ada smiled weakly. Thank you, Mama Ifeoma. I just want to take care of my baby. He didn't ask to be born into this trouble. Mama Ifeoma pressed a small bundle into Ada's hand. Take this. It's not much, but use it to buy something for the child. Ada opened the bundle and saw a few naira notes. Tears filled her eyes. Mama Ifeoma, I can't take this. You've already done so much for me. Take it, my child. Mama Ifeoma insisted. God will bless you. Just promise me you will keep fighting. I promise, Ada said, wiping her tears. Months later, Ada gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The labor was long and painful, but when she held her son in her arms, all her suffering seemed to melt away. She named him Obinna, meaning father's heart. Looking at his tiny face, Ada whispered, Obinna, I will give you the best life I can. I promise you will never feel the pain I have felt. In Lagos, Chike's life looked perfect on the outside. His mansion was filled with expensive furniture, and his garage had the latest cars. His wife, Nneka was beautiful and dressed in the finest clothes. They attended high-class parties and people admired them everywhere they went. But inside, their home was quiet, too quiet. One evening, Nneka sat on the couch, staring at the large portrait of their wedding day hanging on the wall. "Chike," she said, breaking the silence, "it's been 5 years. Why don't we have a child yet?" Chike sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Nneka, I've told you, these things take time." "Time?" Nneka said, her voice rising. "We've seen every doctor in Lagos. They all say there's nothing wrong with either of us. So why haven't I conceived?" Chike stood up and began pacing. "Do you think I don't want a child? Every day I pray for one. But what do you want me to do? Nneka, I'm trying." Nneka burst into tears. "Do you know how it feels to see older women carrying their children while I have nothing? People are starting to talk, Chike. They think I'm barren." Chike walked over and placed a hand on her shoulder. "We will find a solution. I'll take you to see a pastor next week. He's very powerful. People say he has helped many couples." And so began Chike's desperate search for a child. He visited pastors who prayed and fasted for him. He consulted herbalists who gave him strange concoctions to drink. He even flew abroad to see specialists, but nothing worked. One night, as he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, Chike whispered, "What is all this wait for if I don't have a child to inherit it?" His glamorous life began to lose its shine. The mansion felt like a prison, and the cars like useless toys. The laughter that once filled his home was replaced by silence. Chike had everything he thought he wanted, but the one thing he truly needed was slipping further and further away. In Amucha, life was still not easy, but Ada's focus never wavered. Her son, Obinna, was her world. She did everything she could to ensure he got an education. Every morning, she woke up before dawn, sweeping the market square and fetching water for people who paid her a few naira. In the evenings, she roasted maize by the roadside, staying out until late at night. One evening, Obinna sat beside her as she tended to the fire. "Mama," he said, "why do you work so hard?" Ada smiled, stroking his cheek. "Because I want you to have a better life, Obinna. You are my hope. One day, you will be a great man, and all this suffering will be worth it." As the years passed, Obinna grew into a brilliant young man. He was always at the top of his class, and his teachers spoke highly of him. But when it came time for him to go to university, Ada faced a new challenge: money. One day, Ada called Obinna into their small hut. She handed him a folded piece of paper. "Take this. It's the deed of my land. I sold it to pay for your university fees." Obinna stared at her, shocked. "Mama, you sold your land? But where will we farm?" Ada held his hands firmly. "Don't worry about me. Your education is more important. This is the only way." Tears welled up in Obinna's eyes. "Mama, I promise I won't let you down." Years later, Obinna graduated from medical school with top honors. He was offered a position at one of the best hospitals in Nigeria. When he received his first salary, the first thing he did was buy his mother a small but comfortable house in the village. As he handed her the keys, he said, "Mama, this is for you. No more suffering. You deserve to rest now. Ada, though older and weary, smiled with pride. Obinna, you've made me the happiest mother. God bless you, my son. Meanwhile, in Lagos, Chike's life had taken a dark turn. He had been feeling weak and tired for months, and a visit to the doctor revealed the worst. His kidneys were failing. Nneka sat by his hospital bed, her face pale with worry. Chike, what do we do now? The doctors say you need a transplant. Chike groaned in pain, his voice weak. We have money, Nneka. Offer them anything. Someone out there must be a match. The hospital made announcements promising a huge reward for a matching kidney donor. But as the days turned into weeks, no match was found. One day, Chike's longtime friend, Chief Okafor, came to visit him. He sat by the bed, shaking his head. Chike, my brother, this is serious. What will happen if no match is found? Chike sighed, his eyes heavy with regrets. I don't know, Okafor. I never thought it would come to this. All my money, all my power, and I still can't save myself. Okafor leaned closer. Chike, don't you think this might be punishment for something? You have no children to carry on your name. Maybe there's someone out there you've wronged. Chike closed his eyes, memories flashing through his mind. Ada's face appeared, and for a moment he felt a pang of guilt, but he shook his head. It's too late for all that now. What can I do now? At the hospital, Chike's condition worsened. Nneka cried every night, holding his hand. Chike, please, don't leave me. We'll find a match. We have to. But deep down, Chike felt the emptiness of his life. His wealth, once a source of pride, now meant nothing. He had no heir, no one to inherit his empire. The silence of his childless home now echoed louder than ever. The suspense builds as Chike's life hangs in the balance, leaving the audience wondering if fate will finally force his paths to cross with Ada's once again. Chike's condition worsened, and his wife, Nneka, spared no effort in finding the best medical care. He was transferred to a hospital in the city, renowned for its success in kidney transplants. What Chike didn't know was that this hospital was managed by Dr. Obinna, Ada's son. Ada, now living with Obinna in the city, had settled into a quiet but comfortable life. She often visited the hospital to bring her son homemade meals. On this particular day, she entered the hospital carrying a food flask when she saw a commotion at the entrance. A stretcher was being wheeled in. On it lay a frail man, his face pale, his body weak. Nurses and doctors rushed around him, calling out instructions. Ada's heart skipped. She froze, gripping the flask tightly. Her eyes widened as she recognized him. It was Chike, the same Chike who had destroyed her life all those years ago. She ducked into a corner, her mind spinning. What is he doing here? She whispered to herself. Memories of her suffering flooded her mind, her humiliation, her pain, and the nights she cried herself to sleep. Just then, Obinna appeared, walking toward her. Mama, you are here early, he said, smiling. Ada quickly composed herself. Yes, I thought I'd bring you something to eat. Obinna looked toward the stretcher. That man, he's one of the new patients. A very critical case. His kidneys are failing. Ada's hands trembled slightly. Do you know his name? Obinna glanced at the shirt he was holding. Chike Okafor. Why, Mama? Do you know him? Ada hesitated, her breath caught in her throat. No, I don't. He looked familiar. Obinna nodded. I need to see him now. I'll come and eat later, okay? Ada watched as her son walked away, heading straight for the man who had once abandoned her. She clutched her chest, feeling a storm of emotions. Obinna entered Chike's private room for a routine consultation. Chike was lying on the bed, hooked up to machines, looking frail and defeated. Good evening, sir, Obinna said, flipping through the medical file. Chike opened his eyes weakly. Doctor, please help me. I'll pay anything. Just save me. Obinna smiled politely. We are doing our best, sir. The team is running donor mash tests. Let's hope we find the mash soon. As the days passed, no match was found. Chike grew weaker, his wife constantly at his side, praying and crying. The hospital decided to test all available blood types, including that of Dr. Obinna, as part of standard protocol. Later that evening, Obinna received a call from the lab. Doctor, the lab technician said, your blood is a perfect match for Mr. Chike Okafor. Would you consider being the donor? Surprised, Obinna called Ada immediately. Mama, I need to talk to you. The hospital says my blood is a perfect match for one of my patients. They want me to donate a kidney. Ada's heart stopped. A kidney? Yes, Mama. The patient is critical and I'm the only match so far. What do you think I should do? Ada gripped the phone tightly, her mind racing. This was the moment she had dreaded. She could tell her son the truth, that Chike was his father, or she could let him make his decision without knowing. Obinna, she finally said, her voice trembling. Let me think about it. I'll call you back. After ending the call, Ada sat on her bed, staring at the wall. The man who had ruined her life was now at her son's mercy. Tears rolled down her face as she whispered, what should I do? God, what should I do? What will Ada decide? Will she reveal the truth to Obinna about Chike being his father? Or will she let fate unfold in silence? Will Obinna save the man who once abandoned him and his mother? If you are eager to find out about what happens next, type continue the story in the comment section and let me know if you want the next episode. Don't forget to like the story, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the thrilling continuation when it drops. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the continuation.